Questioning strategies for reading. Why ask questions? Questioning is a strategy that readers use to engage with the text. Asking questions helps you, the reader, to clarify and comprehend what you are reading. When should you ask questions? You should ask questions before, during, and after reading. Before, you should ask questions that help you to make connections to things you already know. Help you make predictions about what you think will happen in the story. Example questions for before. What clues does the title give me about the story? Is this a real or an imaginary story? What do I already know about what the story is about? What predictions can I make? During the story, you should ask questions that are I wonder questions. Ask about the characters. Help you make predictions. Or are why questions. During, you should ask questions like, what do I understand from what I just read? What is the main idea? What picture is the author painting in my head? Do I need to reread that so that I understand? After you finish the book, you should ask questions that review predictions. Was my prediction right? Why or why not? Help you make connections. Example questions for after you finish reading the book. Which of my predictions were right? What information from the text tells me that I am correct? What were the main ideas? What connections can I make to the text? How do I feel about it? Watch this short video about asking and answering questions. How to question while reading. Before reading, look at the title and cover. What do you think the story is about? What do you think will happen? Write your questions and your answers in your reading journal. So if I'm reading Moxie Maxwell Does Not Love Stuart Little by Peggy Gifford, I would take a look at the cover. I noticed that she is a little girl and she's wearing her swim goggles and her swim cap, and it looks like her swimming suit. And notice that her book that she's reading here is upside down. On the back it says, now Moxie loved to read books. She loved books so much that sometimes she would stay up all night and read. It's just that Moxie liked to read what she wanted to read and not what someone told her to read. So I'm wondering who told her she had to read this book and why she's not liking Stuart Little. To question during reading, use your sticky notes to mark places that are funny, make you want to predict what will happen, are important to the plot, you don't understand, or have new vocabulary. Use these think marks on your sticky notes while you're reading so you don't interrupt your thinking and reading too much. So while I was reading this book, chapter 6 was called Regarding Her Mother's Errands. Well, her mother told her she had to sit in her room and she had to read their book or there would be consequences. And then her mom told her she was going on some errands. Well, Moxie wants to go on these errands with her. So she asks and she talks, and chapter 7 says in which Moxie's mother says no, and there it is, no. And that's all there is to the chapter. I thought that was kind of funny. But chapter 8 is called In Which Moxie Considers Actually Reading Stuart Little. And the first sentence says, there had been a certain something in the tone of her mother's no, even before the car backed down the driveway. That made me think. I remember when I would push my mom a little too far and then she would say no and I would know to stop. It sounds to me like that's what her mom did. So here I'm making a connection to something I remember from my life. So I'm going to take a sticky and I'm going to put a sticky here and write on it that this is a connection that we have. Ways to question after reading. Think about the questions you asked before and during reading. Did the characters do what you expected? Did they change throughout the story? What do you think would happen if the story continued? How do you feel about the story now that you have finished it? Write these questions and answers in your reading journal. After I finish the book, I am going to continue to ask questions. I'm going to compare Moxie from the beginning of the story to Moxie at the end of the story and notice any changes. Also, I want to know if Moxie will continue to like to read or if she will just stop reading now because people are making her read. Watch this short video to find out about the two types of questions, thick and thin questions. It is okay to ask both types of questions as long as you have thick and thin questions. Sometimes thin questions are important, but the ones that make you think are going to make you understand the story better.